Bill's meltdown over Monica on live TV reveals his sick fantasy about Hillary. By Rebecca DeCirio, Politics U.S. News for MadWorldNews.com. Former President Bill Clinton is in one hot mess after he did an interview on NBC's Today Show this morning. He had a huge meltdown after the interviewer asked him if he'd ever apologized to Monica Lewinsky. Bill lost it, screaming about how he is the real victim. And then things got really shocking as his sick fantasy about Hillary Clinton was revealed. You don't want to miss this. Bill Clinton is getting on in years, and he is not as sharp as he used to be in handling the press. This was evident as he got into hot water during his NBC interview, and the host asked him about the hashtag #MeToo movement, and if looking back now he feels any differently about how he treated Monica Lewinsky. Through the lens of hashtag #MeToo now, do you think differently or feel more responsibility? We'll get to the interview. I'm not going to read what he says, so just take a listen and then you can...
This March, Monica Lewinsky penned an op-ed in Vanity Fair taking responsibility for her part in the scandal, but also admitting that years later she was diagnosed with PTSD from the unrelenting public scrutiny.
One of the things that this Me Too era has done, it's forced a lot of women to speak out. One of those women, Monica Lewinsky, she wrote in an op-ed that the Me Too movement changed her view of sexual harassment. Quote, "He was my boss, he was the most powerful man on the planet, he was 27 years my senior, with enough life experience to know better. He was at the time at the pinnacle of his career, while I was in my first job out of college." Looking back on what happened then, through the lens of Me Too now, do you think differently or feel more responsibility?
No, I felt terrible then. And I came to grips with it.
Did you ever apologize to him?
No, yes, and nobody believes that I got out of that for free. I left the White House $16 million in debt. But you typically have ignored gaping facts in describing this, and I bet you don't even know them. This was litigated 20 years ago. 2/3 of the American people sided with me. They were not insensitive to that. I had a sexual harassment policy when I was governor in the 80s. I had 2 women chiefs of staff when I was governor. Women were overrepresented in the Attorney General's office in the 70s for their percentage in the bar. I've had nothing but women leaders in my office since I left. You are giving one side and omitting facts.
Mr. President, I'm not trying to present a side.
You asked me if I agreed. The answer is no, I don't.
And I asked if you'd ever apologized, and you said you had.
I have.
You've apologized to her.
I apologize to everybody in the world.
Arrogance, too. This outrage by Bill was ironic if you know the reason he was having this interview in the first place. The former president teamed up with author James Patterson to write a really bad novel about a fictional president titled "The President is Missing." In the book, the First Lady sounds an awful lot like Hillary Clinton. She is a star law student, educated in an Ivy League school. She's a politico in college when she meets the future president, just like Hillary and Bill met at Yale University. But then, in a sick twist, Bill kills her off in the book. I can't believe this. Many in the media are still saying this is Bill's own sick fantasy come alive in his new fictional book. New York Times bestselling author Amy Chozick tweets, "Readers may wonder why the authors decide early on to kill off the First Lady, who was a brilliant law student, when she first dazzled Duncan, the future president." Oh, that is a sick fantasy. Well, it's a lot of our fantasies. I would go along with that. Jason Miller tweets, a Clinton writing a book about murder. Perhaps it should be called If I Did It, Part 2. Those who have reviewed the book say it's Clinton, with the help of Patterson, trying to reinvent his presidency as if he was living his own personal fantasy, and in that fantasy, Hillary is killed off, to which he reported, how sick and demented is that? And in the book, Hillary, we mean the totally fictional First Lady, uses her last words to tell the president to find someone else. From the New York Times review, the Hillary character says, "Promise me you'll meet someone else, Jonathan. Promise me. Let's just call it a sappy setup for the sequel and a dose of creative license," Twitchy adds. One other ridiculous bit, the fake president was, wait for it, tortured while serving in Iraq, and that's why he became a politician. Duncan is also a Special Forces war hero who was waterboarded in Iraq and could have been a baseball star if his injuries hadn't forced him into politics. Barf, yes, I agree. But as Bill found out this morning, people are tired of the Clintons and their real-life scandals, like what he did to Monica Lewinsky. Donald Trump Jr. weighed in, tweeting, "Did Bill Clinton just hashtag Me Too Monica Lewinsky? Question marks. I almost have no words. Props for always being ahead of the curve as the first male to publicly somehow claim victimhood for his actions against women. Ballsy. Stupid, but ballsy." I agree with that. Twitter user Nothorize responded to Bill's antics this morning, tweeting, "Bill Clinton threw Monica to the wolves of public ridicule, shame, and social ostracization. It is still going on. At the very least, he was a sexual predator who used the power of his office and political machine to exploit and demonize a very young woman. He definitely is no gentleman." Well, Bill Clinton and his new novel about a first lady almost identical to Hillary getting killed off early in the fictional president's first term is making a real splash. Billy Boy doesn't understand the Clintons' mystique, quote, is long gone with the leftist media. The mainstream media doesn't care about Bill or Hillary anymore, now that the Clintons can no longer rescue the leftist losers from their worst nightmare, the presidency of Donald Trump. So just sit back and pop some popcorn and watch as the Clintons further melt down. They are the new pariahs of the Democrats and liberal media outlets who just want them to go away for good. Yeah, because this interview really did not cut it for Bill. But notice he killed off Hillary early on in the presidency in his fictional book. You gotta love it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.